Be informed. Be alert. The information you need to know about COVID-19 vaccine. Right here, right now, on the VAX.
Vaccines help our immune system, no? Because in infectious disease, the only way that we can be protected from an infection is either by natural infection, where we are exposed to the organism and then our immune system will produce antibodies to protect us from the disease, no? If in case another infection happens. So in the vaccine, instead of us being exposed to an infection, this vaccine will produce the necessary antibodies, no, the policeman in our bodies, to protect us from getting the disease. So iba-iba there are different kinds of vaccines depende sa platform that is being used, no? May ara nga mga live attenuated. These are viruses nga ginpahina, no, and given to men para mag-produce sang antibodies nga required for a particular disease. May ara man nga mga inactivated virus. So may mga protein nga part where they get only a part of the virus, like sa coronavirus, ang spike protein, amo ni ang ginkuha lang nga component, and then they manufacture the vaccine. So ang newer subong platform nga pag-ugid sa coronavirus is using the nucleic acid, no, ini yung mga mRNA, mga DNA. So ang mRNA, which is used by your Pfizer, BioNTech, and the Moderna, amo ni siya yung part gid sang gene or the nucleic acid that is being utilized, no, to injected to man, no, in the form of a vaccine, and then mag-produce siya sang antibodies towards that specific component of the vaccine, of the virus rather, yung mga spike protein, no. So damo siyang type, no, yung again protein vector, ang viral vector, yung sa Astra for example, no, yung the adenovirus nga mga weakened na type of virus, gin-utilized man siya para nga mag-produce sang vaccine. So these are the viral vector type of the vaccine, no? Some would develop the effects, adverse reactions, because of this reactogenicity part, no, wherein the person, ang vaccine rather has this adjuvant, no, na component that will help also enhance the effect of the vaccine, no? So it's usually this component, yung adjuvant, connected or attached to the vaccine, which the person would react to, and that is what we call reactogenicity. So may local reaction, like may ara siyang pain or tenderness where when you touch the area masakit, and then naga-redness sometimes, no, local reaction. And if that local response na ma-produce ang body mga inflammatory markers, inflammatory mga substances, for example, goes to the bloodstream, the reaction becomes systemic. That's why some patients will have fever, no, headache, myalgia. So amo ni ang mga common nga mga effects nga makita. Some would experience it after the first dose. Many would experience it after the second dose. So kung may ara ka nga severe reactions, may mga tao gid siya nga nag-develop, for example, anaphylactic shock, where this is the severe type of reactions nga nag-cause siya mga nubo blood pressure niya, nag-confusion, no? So then that means nga hindi na siya makabaton sa next dose of the drug. Amo nang absolute nga contraindication nga hindi ka na pwede ka matagaan sa second dose. But for the milder reactions, pwede ka pa maka-receive. So it varies. May ara man niya nga dapat within an hour ma-stay for persons nga nag-develop, may experience sila yung mga allergic reaction sa iban nga mga bulong or iban nga vaccine in the past, no, or may mga history of allergy to any substance, they're advised to stay for 30 minutes to 1 hour sa area for observation, no. So some would develop within that period. May ara man nga within 2 days. So kung within 2 days, so pwede nga mga mild na siya yung ilang reaction, no. So galain-lain man siya kada tao, but it's always advised na for them to observe whatever reactions that they have also. In order for us to reach the protection that we call yung herd immunity, where this pandemic will be put to an end, we need the vaccine, no? Kung hulaton ta lang nga ma-develop kita sang natural immunity and get infected, daw hindi tagid mo reach, no, ang 70% of the population to become immune against COVID-19. So it's only the vaccine that can help us, no. So amo na nga kinahanglan naton makabaton, no, as much as possible, especially those who are in the front line, so medical, non-medical frontliners, no. So our workforce, no, we need those protection, no, para nga ma-offer kita ma-immune kita against the disease. And at the same time, if we get vaccinated, ang tao sa palibot naton can also be protected, no. Amo nang essence ang herd immunity kay those who are exposed, no, to the disease, mga frontliners, no. So they get protection with the vaccine. So hindi na sila magmasakit and hindi na nila madala sa mga vulnerable population sa ilang balay, mga susceptible people, no. So that's why kinahanglan tagid ang vaccine. That's the only protection that we have against this pandemic, no? The government, as recommended also by the WHO, listed these different populations who needs to be prioritized, no. So amo na mga frontline, no, the medical and non-medical group nga ara gid exposed because they are directly, no, exposed to the disease, no. So followed by the mga indigent senior citizen, no, and then the vulnerable groups. So ang vaccine is we have very short supply, limited supply of the vaccine. So we need to prioritize and give it to people who really needs the vaccines. Ang proseso sang pag-ubra sang vaccine, it comes in phases. So may clinical phase, may phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So thousands of people have been tested before we receive the EUA, Emergency Utilization Approval, no. So from this population, from the different phases, nakita na siya yung mga ang mga possible reactions, no. So kung hindi ini siya safe, kay that's the requirements sa phase 1, ang safety of the vaccine. So kung nakapas na siya phase 1, then sa mga tao na natagaan na sina, then it's considered as safe, no. But it's continuous yung observations, phase 2, phase 3, until it reaches us, no. Gina-monitor siya. So ang sa phase 2, ang effectivity of the vaccine is being looked into. So phase 1, safety, phase 2, ang effectivity, and phase 3, safety and effectivity, ginalantaw na siya until it reaches us, no. So kung ma-approve na siya, we have to trust of course, the FDA, both ang sa local and sa sagwa, no, nga before they give the EUA, Emergency Utilization Approval, kay wala pa gid sang none of the vaccine available has been approved for commercial use pa, no. So EUA pa lang. So we have to trust these bodies na if they give this go signal, then this vaccine is safe for use. No? Common ng mga question nga, so ako yadamo kung mga allergy, for example, pwedeng hindi na lang kuya. So if you think that you have kasi kinanglan may mga clearance man if ever you have that history of adverse reaction to previous drugs or mga bulo or other medications, for example, then perhaps you need also a clearance from your doctor or allergologist, no, if you would if you should receive the vaccine, no. So if you have that, you belong to those population, then i-prioritize na lang ang people who really need and are exposed to this drug, hoping that kung ikaw wala kaya nakabaton because of certain reasons, then at least malang yung immunity that we get from the people who receive the vaccine is enough or sufficient for us to develop, to have this herd immunity that we call, or protection from the community. So most of the people that we have seen at in the hospital with COVID infection have this comorbidities. So butang balon that these are the people who really need the vaccine. Those with the COPD, those with hypertension, those with diabetes. So they belong to the susceptible population, no? So butang balon kung elderly pagid sila, then the more reason that they should receive the vaccine. No? Kung ilang may mga asthma sila and controlled man sila, then controlled yung asthma nila, then the more reason that they should receive the vaccine. No? So persons with comorbidities. No? So wala ang, as I've said, ang absolute contraindication hindi makabaton sang COVID vaccine are those with anaphylactic shock or with severe reaction to the first dose of the vaccine, no? Or inaabalang may component balan ang vaccine, the PEG or polyethylene glycol, and these are used usually sa mga mag-colonoscopy examinations, mga laxative, no? So if you have prior reactions to these drugs, kung nakagamit kasi ni then you should inform your doctor, no? Base kinanglan, base hindi ka na candidate for the vaccine, no? If you have these reactions. So why wala pa ang vaccine na available, then we need this minimum public health standard anay, no? Continue even with the vaccine. Even with the vaccine, we advise people to still continue doing this minimum public health standard.